Stop scrolling right now. Face screaming in fear. You're looking at this, but you have no idea what actually happened to Jimin. Before we go any further, hit like, drop your comment right now, and subscribe to the Jikook Lover channel, because what you're about to see today is not just a normal moment. Everything looks normal, too normal, until one tiny detail made fans all over the world start questioning everything. Why did his expression change? Why do his movements feel different? And why were people saying something is not right? Stay with us, because this is what really happened to Jimin, and you might not be ready for the truth. In a moment that, at first glance, seemed completely ordinary, Jimin was seen standing in a kitchen filled with warmth and calm. Soft light poured in gently, green plants in the background created a peaceful atmosphere, and everything felt like a simple slice of everyday life. Nothing seemed unusual. Nothing seemed suspicious. To some, it was just another casual moment of a global idol enjoying his time. But that is exactly where it all began. Because in a world where millions of eyes are constantly watching, nothing is ever truly ordinary. As Jimin lifted the noodles with his chopsticks, his movements were as smooth as ever. Controlled, calm, almost effortless. But just seconds later, something barely noticeable began to spark a massive reaction. A subtle shift in his facial expression. A pause that lingered just a little longer than expected. A gaze that, somehow, didn't feel fully present in that moment. And within minutes, the internet reacted. At first, it was just a few comments, then dozens, then thousands, until suddenly, millions of fans were talking about the exact same thing. Replaying the video, slowing it down, trying to figure out what exactly felt different. Was it just imagination? Or had something really changed? The more people watched, the more they felt it, something unexplainable. Not something obvious, not something clearly visible, but something you could feel. And sometimes, those are the hardest things to ignore. Some fans said his expression looked more serious than usual. Others felt there was a hint of exhaustion he couldn't fully hide. And some believed that his eyes were telling a story he didn't say out loud. And at that moment, questions began turning into theories. Is he okay? Was this just a bad day? Or is there something bigger happening behind the scenes? It didn't take long for the moment to spread across platforms. From Twitter to TikTok to international forums, everyone was talking about the same clip. Even those who usually overlooked small details found themselves pulled into the wave of speculation. Because something felt different. And when something feels different about someone like Jimin, the world doesn't stay silent. Some tried to connect it to his busy schedule. The pressure of being a global idol. The endless expectations. All of that could make sense. But somehow, for many people, that explanation felt too simple. Because what they saw didn't look like just tiredness. It looked deeper than that. Something harder to define. Something that couldn't simply be explained away. At the same time, there were fans trying to calm the situation. They reminded others that it wasn't fair to draw conclusions from a short clip. That Jimin is human too. That he deserves to have normal moments without being overanalyzed. But despite those voices, the wave of speculation didn't stop. Because mystery is always stronger than certainty. And as the video kept circulating, more and more details were discovered. Some focused on the way he held his chopsticks. Others analyzed the timing of his movements. Some even tried to read his body language like it was a hidden code. Was this an overreaction? Or were fans actually seeing something real? What made it even more fascinating was how a simple moment transformed into a global phenomenon. This was no longer about eating noodles. This was no longer just a casual activity. It had become a symbol of something bigger. A collective question without an answer. And in the middle of it all, Jimin remained silent. No clarification. No explanation. Just that video, replayed, analyzed, debated over and over again. That silence only made everything stronger. Because when there are no answers, imagination takes over. Some began wondering if this was connected to something yet to be revealed. A sign of a bigger change coming. Or maybe something intentionally hidden from the public. And the deeper people searched for answers, the more they realized one thing. They might never truly know. Because what we see on camera doesn't always reflect what's really happening. And maybe that's what makes this moment impossible to forget. That behind a smile, behind movements that seem normal, there could be a much more complex story. A story not ready to be told. And now, after all the analysis, all the theories, and all the emotions poured out by millions of fans across the world, we come back to the same question. Was this just an ordinary moment blown out of proportion by the internet? Or is it actually a small clue to something much bigger that we still don't understand? And if something really is being hidden, why did a moment this simple become the beginning of everything? The atmosphere that once felt full of questions slowly began to shift as another side of Jimin started to reappear, the side that millions of fans around the world have always known. A warm, cheerful presence, filled with a kind of light that's impossible to hide, even in the simplest moments. Behind a short clip that had sparked so much curiosity, there were small, almost overlooked details that revealed something important. Jimin was still the same Jimin, someone capable of brightening the entire mood with just a soft smile and a sincere gesture. As he lifted his gaze again, there was a flicker of expression that felt instantly familiar to those who knew him well. A smile that wasn't forced, light and effortless, as if it simply appeared without pressure. It was a brief moment, easy to miss for those watching casually, but for those paying close attention, it carried the warmth that has always been part of who he is. His movements became more relaxed, more natural, as if he was settling back into the comfort of the moment. The way he held his chopsticks, the way he let out a small, quiet laugh while enjoying his food, everything about it felt human, close and real. And perhaps that's where his true charm lies. There was no distance, no barrier, just Jimin, embracing a simple moment in his own way. That cheerful energy slowly began to spread, even through the screen. Many fans started to realize that beyond all the intense speculation, there was a more honest side to what they were seeing. Not every expression needs to be deeply analyzed. Sometimes, happiness appears in the simplest forms. And as the moment continued, it became increasingly clear that this warmth couldn't be faked. The slight narrowing of his eyes when he smiled, the way his shoulders seemed more at ease, everything signaled that he was far from the state many had feared earlier. As if, without saying a single word, Jimin had already given his answer. Not through statements, not through explanations, but through his presence, steady, warm, and full of light. And at that point, the tension that once filled the air began to soften into something more comforting. A quiet reminder that behind all the attention, all the pressure, and all the speculation, there is still someone who can find joy in the smallest things and share without needing to explain anything at all.